welcome to We're Not Wizards. We are the best, but not wizards. Enjoy the show!
Do you know what? I'm going to start. I'm not going to start off with a gripe.
Oh, anyway. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I'm going to start off getting visited by a dog.
Get it out of your system. Come on.
I'm not going to get it out of my system.
This is like when you.
I'm just going to open my biscuits. I'm going to open my gluten-free biscuits.
Oh, you boring biscuits then.
They're not boring. Look at that. That looks amazing. That's like honey and oats and golden syrup.
That's a fairly boring looking biscuit. You've literally held up a beige disc to me, like said, "Oh, that's not a boring biscuit." I mean, there's nothing.
That don't have to be exciting.
Sure, it's perfectly tasty, but it is the epitome of what a biscuit would look like that would be clarified as boring.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
The trouble is now, we've got dog here, and I can't sit here with these biscuits here, so you're going to have to just excuse me while I eat them all. But, what is it? He does a little dance when he's getting a biscuit, you know that? The chef does a dance when he knows he's getting a treat, like a boop, 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 boop. I can imagine the walls would shake.
He gives you a look of such intensity. It's like his face changes shape. It's like because usually he's like there, but it's like his whole head sort of goes. It's like every ounce of his face is now looking at you, not just his eyes. It's like everything. When he knows that something might. He's a Labrador crossbull mastiff, so the fact that he thinks with his stomach is no.
He's a Labrador what?
He's technically what's known as a mastador. His dad was a black lab and his mum was an English bull mastiff.
So that's amazing to me. It's like, because like the year, I don't know, because they go like, oh,
5 years ago it'd been a mongrel.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's like worth $2,000.
Luckily, no, but yeah.
Which is I think one of those things, isn't it? It's like one of those kind of like, if we name them, if we just call him a mongrel, you get 50 quid. I've got to give you 50 quid to take that dog away because it's just a mongrel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now they've got like, what is it? It's a macaroni and poodle. Yeah. It's a macaroni poodle. How much is it? It's £1,300.
You know. But yeah, I mean, I think he was listed as a mastador as well. I think he must have been. And then
did he?
It's a legit thing. Like there's mastador Facebook groups and stuff like that. You know.
Do you not just think it is like?
And they actually also might be the greatest breed of dog in the world. Because it's such a great mix
Labrador
of two beautiful natured dogs. So he's like the perfect guardian breed. Because the bull mastiffs are like fiercely guardian breed. So he does all these things that, like, when I was getting him, I didn't know much about bull mastiffs. In all honesty, I don't think I'd ever spent time with bull mastiffs. I just knew they were a big bugger, and they looked like a dog that you wouldn't want to trifle with, you know. And so I was just like, well, I'll make sure. You know, I'll get to know what a bull mastiff is, and I didn't realise bull mastiffs were bred as a game warden's dog. So what bull mastiffs do? They were bred to chase poachers.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because they're extremely strong and pretty damn fast when they may not have a great acceleration, but once they get up to a head of speed, they ain't stopping for shit until it's to pounce on whatever they are chasing. And they have a natural propensity to pin everything. So like when he meets little dogs or other dogs, he always tries to pin them and so I could see that thing in him. I never knew this about bull mastiffs, but bull mastiffs would pin poachers down until the game warden got to them and take them off to the local nick or whatever.
Normally the gamekeeper
and he just does
kill
it,
and eat them.
Yeah, but he does it, and he does this. You could see this aspect of him in it. He's obviously he's got a natural guardian for the house as well. So if he, he's not a barky dog, but if people come to the door unexpected, or if he hears someone come to the door, he does, hell and high water, and he sounds terrifying. There's a lot of bass in that. Real proper going for it.
How old's he now?
3, just over 3. He'll be 4 in October.
Oh, Arlo's 4 in May. Interestingly enough, he's like round about the time of like my eldest 2 birthdays, and they always complain that like I definitely make more of a fuss of the dog than I do for it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's quite simple. Like, all you want is money. That's what you want for your birthday. What do you want for your birthday? I don't know. I should just give you some money. Yeah. That's not really strictly true, because my daughter's pretty good at like coming up with these kind of like, I really want XYZ, and because she's up in Aberdeen, which is like 2 hours away, we always feel bad, but I just send the stuff automatically to where she lives, because there's no point in her coming all the way down on the bus or whatever to then have a whole pile of stuff to take. So like Christmas and everything, she's had her Christmas presents kind of like months ago. My gripe, right? Because I just want to get this out of the way, because this is general positivity, is that just for this goes for everybody kind of listening, like gluten intolerance, right? It's not a lifestyle choice. I just point that out, yeah. I just like to point that out.
Your gluten intolerance isn't my lifestyle choice. That's for sure.
It's certainly not. It's certainly not. I think, as you maybe witnessed.
Yeah. It's hard work. Hard work being a gluten. To be honest, I think you're the first person I spent any length of time with that has, obviously an acute, like, I absolutely cannot muck about with this.
Yes.
This is how it is, and as I've got to, and I don't think I realised quite how hard it could be.
I think it's difficult when
I think you probably you got it a lot better than you probably sometimes feel.
Probably.
Yeah. But then, I'm thinking of like the vegetarians in the 80s, who were like, can I have a vegetarian option? And they got like a green leaf salad.
That's it. You can have this bit of iceberg.
And a bit of corn on the cob that fell behind the fridge last week.
Some mayonnaise with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found a pea. It could be a pea. It could maybe be a peanut that's gone off. No.
So go on then. Yeah, go on. Have you?
But no, it's
you
just
have every
whole...
right based on our weekend, I think, too.
I think the difference is that veganism, and bless you all if you're vegans, because, and as I found as time has gone on, and I'm kind of like I've gone milk free and obviously gluten free, that I'm kind of veering on the side of veganicity or whatever it's called, but I like eating.
I think all the
things.
chicken, beef, and pork you're eating kind of,
I know it kind of offsets that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm almost gone vegan. Yeah. I don't really think
Could have done that,
yeah.
please.
You are not remotely vegan, but go on.
No, anyway, I'm not. But it's still a lifestyle choice. I don't know of anybody that's like, unless they've kind of like, unless they've been told by the doctor, hey, no meat for you, otherwise you're gonna die. It's kind of like a lifestyle choice, and I always get the feeling that sometimes the whole kind of dairy, actual milk intolerance and wheat intolerance and stuff like that is always treated like a lifestyle. It doesn't matter if we make a mistake. Oops, we accidentally kind of dumped all this in.
I think you actually are kind of sometimes bundled in with pescatarians and vegans. And yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about it like that. Yeah.
Which is like, okay, it doesn't matter if we get a little bit of stuff on you. And it's like, no, it absolutely does matter, because I end up having to need to sleep,
Yeah, your awkwardness isn't out of choice. It's just, just the way it is.
I know. And it can actually be extremely bad for everybody around me.
So, So in a yin and a yang, go just straight on to Airecon, because obviously we've been to Airecon and we've had a fantastic weekend.
We had an absolutely amazing time.
2 weekends ago. Is it already 2 weekends ago? Not last weekend, the weekend before, yeah.
It was. Yeah.
And it was a yin and a yang on that front, because as many will have seen, to the point that Mark Cook kind of had to even put a Facebook post out saying,
I know, which I felt
enough
so bad
talking about the food, but fuck it, I'm going to talk about the food, and I'm going to talk about Harrogate Convention Centre and everything they do to try and put Mark and the team and everyone in handcuffs, trying to run a great event, and the Harrogate Convention Centre and some of the people they provide seem to be anti that sort of thing. The food selections usually at Airecon are fabulous. The food trucks, they have some really interesting ones, and this year there was only I think 4 other ones, maybe 5.
Yeah,
I forget how many. But there were the 2 that I usually go to weren't there. There's usually a guy who does really nice Korean fried chicken with his really awesome slaw and noodles and stuff like that, and or like rice options and stuff. That one wasn't there, and that's the one I usually really look forward to. And then there was often a Greek one who would do filled flatbreads and stuff, and I don't think they were there either, but they might have been. But then there was Matcham's, who is the convention centre fucking catering option thing, and what an utter shit show they were. I mean, there's no two bones about it. The first day I got there, I thought, well, I'll go and see what the options are, and I paid £2.25 for a can of Fanta. It's I mean, fuck, come on. I mean, what planet? It's utterly ridiculous. A friend of mine did say that he had one of the sandwiches from them, and he said that was actually pretty good. I tried the pizza once. Somebody had one of the pizzas, and that it was pretty good. That wasn't bad. But that first time we went over there, there was no gluten-free pizza bases left, and this was
1 o'clock.
It was lunchtime on the first. First day that they were available. So what did they have? 4 of them? I mean, the 5-pack of gluten-free pizza bases has run out now. Then they didn't have, then on the roast pork, in a bun thing, they didn't have any roast pork left.
No.
And I went and got poutine in the end, which was really nice. You eventually came back from the roast pork bun people with a burger that looked, it was horrific. I've never seen anything look quite like it.
Do you know the end of Time Bandits, where the parents open up the kind of the microwave?
Yeah.
And there's a black kind of lump in the microwave, and Kevin goes, "Mom, Dad, it's evil! Don't touch it!" And they touch it and they explode. That was the kid of the hamburger.
Do you remember in Red Dwarf where he eats Space Weevil? You looked like you had Space Weevil in a bun, and it was anybody who witnessed it in that group that we were with just looked at it, was like, what sorry state of a thing you're eating. It was horrific. So Matcham's, you lot could go get fucked. You were absolutely useless. You were awful. The Harrogate Convention Centre did everything they could to make it hard to actually go to the food trucks and the loaded
actually
Matcham
getting
stuff.
to the food truck.
It was just it was
a journey.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. So it was a shit show. I went once that whole weekend. Because it was such a shit show when I didn't particularly care that it was an awkward to get to. I didn't, for the sake of it, it was another few minutes to get to it. But because it was such a shit show on the first day, I was just like, bollocks to this. I'm not wasting my frigging time, faffing about with this. So yeah, it was an absolute shit show on that front. And
it was kind of weird.
Nothing to do with Mark and the team.
Absolutely
and the
nothing
volunteers.
to do. Fundamentally,
they do everything they can to flip it the other side. But Harrogate Convention Centre and Matcham's and all that bollocks, they just didn't give two shits.
It was just so weird. It was so weird that the breakfast at the hotel and we'll talk about the hotel because we have to talk.
We have to talk about the Cairn
We
Hotel.
have to talk about the hotel, right? But the breakfast at the hotel was like literally okay. I'm gluten free. First of all, what is it you cook everything in? And it's like, oh well, it's all vegetable oil, so the dairy free stuff was fine, you know. And it was like, okay, so what have you got that's gluten free? It's like, well, the bacon is, the sausage is, the eggs are, the mushrooms are just like, I don't know, boiled in sadness or something.
Yeah.
The way those mushrooms, I don't know why they insist on kind of like making mushrooms like that when it's the worst possible way to make a mushroom. But there you go. But I had a
Would
cooked
you like
breakfast
extra
every day.
slippery with your mushrooms?
Oh, it was just awful. It was like, you know what I mean? As I say, it was like, slugs. Lovely. But they obviously sorted out. We went to Wagamama's that night. And again, it was like, we're going to take this seriously.
Well, this is where I first saw the true difference. Because Matchams, when you were asking, and he was like, oh, we haven't got this, or like, and there was this, I'd never really taken into consideration, even having been a chef, but I was a chef during the time where gluten-free really wasn't a thing yet, you know. But we took vegetarians and vegans very seriously. We would ensure, obviously, no cross-contamination stuff.
Yeah.
And I, you know, when you were asking the Matchams people, it's like, oh, you know, this and that, and I'd never considered the cooking surfaces in that front, you know, that level of cross-contamination as to how much that could play a part in gluten-free. And then we went to Wagamama's, and then I saw the difference between care and attention and giving a shit about your customers' needs.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you'd never been to Wagamama's, which you had not ever been to Wagamama's, had you not?
I was really surprised at how good it was.
Wagamama's is kind of unusual in its service anyway, in that they have like big sort of family seating in the like everything's benches, so you can be sat like literally right next to people that you don't know. But so it's real kind of, it's got almost like a Japanese canteen kind of vibe.
It's like
in
a
that
community type thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can
very much so.
You get a table for two, but you could end up in a table for six, sitting with like four other people you don't
They'll
actually
squeeze
know.
you in where they can and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's all fully sort of understood. And also when you order your food, it just comes out when it comes out. So you might order something in a starter sense, and it might arrive after your main has arrived, and you know, and you know, this person's main will arrive, and then this, and it just comes out when it comes out, which means it's all just been cooked, and it's like, right, cool, that's ready to go, take it out, which means it's cooked. You get it as it should be, and it doesn't sort of, you know, you haven't got some crappy chefs that are just, you haven't timed it right, and it's sat under the under the pass for, you know, however long. And you know, our food arrived, you know, in good speed and stuff, but yours was taking. And then but that's when we realised that what they'd done was they'd obviously taken a station, they'd cleaned it proper, absolute deep cleaned it, made sure it was absolutely spot on and perfect, that there would be no cross-contamination for yours. And that was well worth waiting 10 minutes for that little bit of peace of mind, surely, I would imagine. And I think that's awesome. I was really impressed with the way Wagamama, because they put like a sticker on your menu and stuff like that, didn't they? They were like,
it was all, it was right, absolutely 100% sure.
Not none of this sort of phoning it in bullshit, you know.
No.
They were like, we will make 100% sure that man, by the end of this visit, he's forgotten how to spell gluten, let alone dare have any near him. You know?
I was very, very impressed. And then we got a curry. Which was just
shit the bed. That was a good curry. And it didn't cause me to shit the bed, which makes it a good curry.
It was really good. But again, it's like one of these things. It's like, oh, okay, they could point out in their menu, it's like, so here's the situation. And we're like, well, you don't have that. Everything else is cool. Don't worry about it. Everything else is traditional kind of Indian Bangladesh kind of cuisine. It's all chickpea flour and coconut milk and stuff like that. They don't actually bring in the kind of because they just don't. Traditional, you know, they cook it as it should be. So there wasn't an issue. But again, it was like, you just felt kind of like somebody was listening and taking care of. I guess that's the difference between somebody who is obviously gives a damn and somebody who's there because they're in the middle of an 8-hour shift and they've just got to serve you stuff. And they didn't. And normally they're serving like 50 people, and this weekend they're having to look after 1,500, and they've run out of food, and everybody's angry and everybody's annoyed because they're having to pay £2.25 for a can of Fanta, which was, which was fine. But
it fucking wasn't fine. Actually.
No, I mean, it was just so strange that the difference between going to a venue, which they actively said, oh yeah, we've got these options, and everybody else, which was like, yeah, we obviously we make this kind of effort. So that was it. It didn't dampen stuff for me. Because I had the best time. Because we rocked. It only took us 4 hours. It only took me and Paul 4 hours to get there. We rock up at the Cairn Hotel, which I felt like I was expecting to hear the TARDIS noise, because it felt like we'd kind of travelled back in time. And there was something just glorious about the fact that this was a hotel that they'd obviously had a main building, and then they'd built expansions on it, and then they'd built expansions on that. And then what they'd done is they've put the occasional lick of paint on stuff. But it's going to be one of these things. One of these things that literally, it'd be like one of these things that's like, let's strip off the 8 layers of white gloss to get it back to the original look. It's all that kind of thing.
I dread to think, dread to think how many layers of gloss varnish are on some of those door frames and doors and stuff.
I mean, probably the hotel weighs about 52 tons heavier, since it was like that's just the weight of the paint.
The West Wing's got subsidence because it's got more gloss paint.
But it was just. But the rooms were really good, and the place just had character. I mean, there's completely. You can go to I know you kind of get all your kind of your chain stuff and things like that, which is fine if you want to go to a hotel in a box. I want to go and spend my life in a kind of a white roomed purple duvet kind of box for 3 days.
Wood and, all this sort of,
just absolutely. But this was something where you could tell it's I was looking at the bedside table and I was going, you've got history, mate.
Yeah, you've seen shit. You've seen some stuff.
You've seen stuff.
You've heard stuff. You've had stuff splashed on you. You've seen.
You've definitely. You've ended up like a plasterer's radio.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was just that. But the whole thing, it was like the walking around the corridors and expecting at any point to kind of see the twins standing there in their little that kind of thing.
I love the Cairn Hotel. I think
it's
it's
just
great.
so good. It was it was that oldie worldy kind of, bit dodgy with the staff. As I said.
Oh yeah, that's true. And I'd never noticed this. That it ended up looking like Colonialism 101.
It was
It was like everybody in the waiting staff was a minority of some sort, and it's just oh wow, yeah, that's a good point.
Everybody
admittedly, that was that breakfast, and then the next breakfast that wasn't the case. It wasn't. It was a load of broccoli-haired white boys, It was fine,
I love that. The broccoli. I mean, what is it? Goodness sake. Is that what happens now? Is that all teenage boys just wake up one morning and have curly hair? If I'm ever in the
gym, it bloody is. Yeah. Well, there's always 5 broccoli-haired white boys stood around, walking around like they're in some seance, just talking shit.
The good thing about
not working out.
Good thing about the Cairn was it was literally 5 minutes away from the venue.
Yeah, it's great. It
was absolutely fantastic. My second complaint is that I took 3 bags worth of games, right? I got to 2 hours before I left on Thursday morning. I went, I'll tell you what, I'll take a couple of because I'm not sure I've got enough games here, so I'm going to take an extra bag. So I packed a couple of extra bags. Do you know how many games we played that I brought, Mr. Pryor?
I'm trying to think. What did we play? Any of the games you brought?
But one.
What was that one?
Wyrmspan.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Do you know what else we played of mine?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Not even slightly. But that didn't stop us from having the best time of games. I was wondering if you want to. Well, I've got a list of all the games that I played,
That's
and
if I open BG stats, at least I have.
you have a list of all the games that you played as well. I think there's a couple of games I want to talk about a little bit, and just mention them. We've also got to mention rhubarb muffins, because I am trying to think, and maybe you can help my old and addling brain. That I think I used the term rhubarb muffin to describe SETI, and I can't remember what the actual context was it, so I need some kind of help. Do you have your BG stats there?
Yes. Hang on.
Good. He's got it all. Right,
Yeah,
okay.
got it all.
Okay. Let's talk, I don't know, let's talk SETI.
Oh, hang on, you brought World Wonders with you, didn't you? Or was that Paul's?
No, that was Paul.
Ah.
I could one game. There was one game. Literally one game. I could have put that in my bag.
You know how many games I brought with me, though, and we still only played 2 of them. That's ridiculous. Oh, no, we didn't. No, we didn't.
No, you didn't.
It's all right. It's only like 3, or maybe 4.
All right, okay. Well, it's still three more than what we played. You know what I mean? SETI. SETI's been kind of like this. It was this year's kind of golden boy. It wasn't up there as much as was it Galactic Cruise?
Oh, fuck me. Aircon,
I tell you,
the Galactic Cruise Edition. Yeah.
I mean, if I had £1 for every time I saw somebody playing Galactic Cruise that weekend, I mean, I would have had £9. It's not a lot, but to see that concurrently on like so many tables.
Well, I went when I was waiting for you guys to get in. I said dump my bag on the end of one of the tables, and I just thought, I'll just have a quick wander through the hall, see if I spot anybody I know.
Yeah.
And a few tables up, you know, it was literally 3 games of Galactic Cruise.
That's mad.
The entire length of one set of tables. One of my mates that I sat up next to, he was in the midst of a game of Galactic Cruise. And I think I saw Aiden and Simon who run Dranda. I saw Aiden, and I said, I've just walked through. This is only 2 halls at this point, and there was, before even you'd got in the halls at this point, and there was 9 games of Galactic Cruise already going.
Mad.
You know?
Well done. I mean, yeah. I was speaking to.
It was never a moment you couldn't see one, was there?
No, it was on there.
You know.
It was on there on the time, but I think it kind of merits. The event kind of merits kind of getting a game like that out, because it's at least you're talking about like a 3-4 hour kind of game.
And
easily.
everybody, from my understanding, most of the backers would have literally just got it like that week or maybe the week before.
I think there was some people actually picking it up, because I'm pretty sure I saw folk carrying boxes.
Not on the Thursday, because obviously they wouldn't have been open for it at that point.
Yeah.
So there was lots of people who were like, oh, it's just arrived, I've just read it all, I've got it all set up, punched and blah, blah, blah. Fucking Airecon straight away, let's get into Galactic Cruise, yeah. And you know there's loads of groups of it, like, fucking right, yeah, damn right, you know.
Exactly, I'm right in there. Like white on rice. I'm straight, and it was getting set up and it was kind of getting played. And we played SETI.
I broke one of my rules.
You have a rule. I mean, you have a set of. You're like Batman in the Dark Knight.
At conventions, I do. Yeah.
Which is, you know, do you want to play a game? And it's like, I only ever want to play a game if I know the rules. And that was your one. That's
not
you know,
me. No, I don't need to know the rules, but the person teaching it has to know the rules.
Yes.
And Paul, bless him, we'd said the night before, he was just like, yeah, we'll play it. And he was like, and he was like, I'll make sure I know everything. And I said, yeah, I'll watch a video as well, so at least I've got a run through of how it works and kind of, you know, I won't watch a proper how to, but I'll at least an overview of it, so I know the beats of the game and stuff. Got in the morning. I said to Paul, did you watch the thing? He was like, no.
No, he's tired. Here we go. We're gonna start.
Shit.
And you started.
And I said I should have tapped out. I should have said, nope, let's move it to tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. We'll, you know. And it's such a big mistake, because there's such a good game there for sure. There's a very cool game in there.
But it's kind of strange, because it's like.
But I don't like having to tap out on a game.
I think we kind of had to,
Oh yeah, we absolutely did have to, but I don't like getting myself
absolutely had to.
into a situation where I think, oh, I've just wasted 3.5 fucking hours. You know,
We should have saved it till Saturday. It should have been a Saturday game instead of a Friday game. The first couple of games we should have played should have been lighter ones, but we know that one. My SETI, I thought it was great. It was just, scan, revolve around the solar system. Depending what sector you're in, you scan the sector. That'll give you kind of like scan points and stuff like that you can use. And then into round 3 or something like that, you unleash alien life. And that was when it fell apart for us.
Just because we couldn't find... We didn't... And I'm not gonna put it on SETI. I'm not going to put it on the rule book even.
No.
It was our fault.
Yes.
Because we didn't know the game well enough.
Yes.
To even know where to find the rule that we weren't sure of. So I don't actually put that on SETI. I think if we had even a slightly better understanding of what was going on, we'd have been able to clarify the bit we weren't sure of, which was basically for anyone, for the people listening, we weren't sure how to get our markers up onto the alien races that have been, or the anomalies that have been detected and stuff. And that was the bit we just couldn't clarify.
I spoke to my friend Rick about it. And he was like, well, you just rescan the thing again. That's all you need to do. You just need to get like a yellow, blue, or red scan thing, and that'll move you up the kind of the track. Yeah. And I was like,
it's easy when but the trouble is, we thought that was probably the case. We were correct.
Yes.
But then we also thought, but it could be this, and because we couldn't know for sure which one it was, I was just like, I'm done now, because we were like 3.5 fucking hours in at this point.
I know. It was like getting to lunch.
You'd wandered off
we didn't
like 3
realise
bloody times.
What's that?
I'd wandered
off again. I'd wandered off.
I went to the toilet.
Twice.
I came back, and he said you'd gone to the fucking the exhibit hall. And I was
just because you'd gone to the toilets, I thought, I'm going to go for a wander.
I'd gone for a
I didn't realise. I thought
even if I'd gone for a shit, it wouldn't have taken that bloody long.
I was just going for a... And then I bumped into people. You know what it's like. Celebrity famous person. Not really, but, I've saw people that I hadn't seen in ages, so I was just kind of like saying hello. Ross. I saw Ross Connell, and I saw the Connells. Carly and Ross. I saw them, so that was nice to see them. Ross is a good man. He's a good bloke.
He is.
It was nice to see them again after the last time I saw him. He was at Airecon.
But yes, SETI was a very cool game, and I like what it's trying to do. But I can't give it it's great or it's bad, because I have not given it its fair crack at the whip. But I could see a very cool game in there, and I like the theme and everything.
Me and Paul were talking about it later on. And we said, well, maybe we could just break it out of the club on a Friday night. And it's like, well, the club starts at 6 and ends at 9. And I'm just like, it just needs to be you and me playing this and seeing how far we can get on it. Because I don't think you could easily bring somebody else in without them feeling kind of like
as long as they know how to play
an unfair advantage. Yeah, it's but even then, there's so many little moving parts in it. Not 100 little moving parts, but there's certainly a lot of moving parts that I think if you started where other people had already had some experience, I think you'd feel, I'm missing out on where I should be going in order to give me the advantage, kind of thing. But I think it's definitely it's a Sunday afternoon, 3-4 hours, get your mates round, have fun. I mean, that was definitely good fun. We have to talk about... so we have to swing back, because there's a lot of games that we played that you've quite literally spoke about, and there was one game, and you broke the rule again, where you say, we should all know how to learn this game. And we're going to touch on that, which is Bomb Busters.
Yeah, but that's also because at the time we didn't know what we were doing, and we were kind of dithering and faffing about. So I was just like, I've just got this, and I didn't think it sounded like it was too difficult. It wasn't SETI, for God's sake. It was.
It definitely wasn't SETI. But it was good fun. I enjoyed Bomb Busters. It was kind of like a level of learning kind of thing.
Yeah, I like what I haven't had a chance to carry on with it and start it off with Elliot yet. But we probably will at some point soon. But I like what you're doing, and this whole we only did like the first, I think it was like 3 or 4 training missions, which it's still teaching you how to kind of do all the things. And like you start to get equipment and stuff like that, but I really like I really like deduction. I always have done. Like, did you like Mastermind when you were a kid? I don't mean obviously the show. I mean the
actual game.
4 things behind a little.
The actual game that had the strange-looking guy in the front cover with like his girlfriend behind him, with the very odd Chinese bride behind him. Yeah, if I remember rightly, she was Chinese. I think
at least so. Looked from the Far East of some sort. It was such a sinister front cover, wasn't it? Because he also looked like a thin $1 Million Man. If you know Ted DiBiase, the wrestler, he was like, didn't he? But who was he? Was he somebody like real?
I'm pretty sure.
I always assumed.
We'll have to look at.
I always assumed he was like maybe the American host of Mastermind.
Do you know what?
And I have no idea if he was or not.
I don't know. We have to look.
I'd love to know if he really was. If he did look like Ted DiBiase, because in my head that's what he did look like.
Oh no, let's see. Yeah, it was. Here we go. We are searching it.
Oh,
I don't know who that is.
There he is.
No, there he is with his little face and his kind of
sign into something stupid thing.
You don't have to sign into anything.
No, he does.
It's just.
Oh, I was right. She is. She's from Far East of some sort.
But it's like, this is the newest version as well. Because the version that we had when we were growing up was on like brown plastic, because everything in the 70s was brown. Everything.
Yes,
sofas,
my one was.
tables.
Was mine brown plastic? Yeah, I think it was brown plastic.
I think everybody's was like brown or orange plastic, maybe. Like one or two.
No, yeah, it was. It was that sort of burgundy brown kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, I loved that when I was a kid, even though it's the stupidest 2-player game in the world, because only one person is actually playing it and the other person's just sitting there going, 1.
What? 2. It's like Wordle. Just before Wordle was a thing. It's like everybody's like, Wordle. It's such a hugely imaginative game. It's like, no, it's Mastermind.
That sort of deduction I really like, and Bombusters has that in it, kind of thing, doesn't it? Where you're like, I love the way you give that little bit of information at the start, and it's just seemed you've got all these wires lined up in front of you that only you could see, and then you're one of your colleagues, and we've obviously only done it 2-player, and it can play up to 4-player.
So mad.
When they've just said like, oh, this one here, all they've told you is like, that one there's the 3, that is, and you're looking at it thinking, right, well, that's a 3, but
we're not doing a good job of explaining it. You've got literally like 8 numbers. You've got 2 sets of like 8 numbers.
Up to
potentially
1 to 12. Yes, 1 to 12 it can go.
And they're in sequential order on both these sides. And what you've got to do is you've got to match pairs of numbers with your opposite. So you are given very basic information at the very beginning, and then you could say like, well, I know a 1 is potentially on the far left-hand side, so I think that my 1 is here, and I'm going to guess that your 1 is maybe on your left-hand side there. But you also get ones that if you've got, say for instance, all 4 numbers,
if
then
you've got all of the ones that are left,
yes,
of the because there's 4 of each. You've got 1 to 12, but potentially, and there's 4 of each of those numbers. So there's 4 1s, 4 2s, 4 3s. Go on. So once you have, if for instance I say that one of yours is a 3, and you say yes it is, and we both put the 1 down. So I'd put down a 3, and you put down the one I pointed at. Yeah. If then it gets back to me and I've got the other 2 3s, my go can be to put both of those 3s down. Or even if you start and you've got 4 of the thing, you could just go, oh, boom, there you go. There's all my things. Go. And based on the little bit of information you get, which you start off with a little token of 1 to 12, and you put it in front of your things saying, this one's a 7. And the reason you would choose which one to do will be to indicate what, because you have little Scrabble tile holders, and in the 2-player game you have 2 Scrabble tile holders, and you randomly would put those things, so each tile holder is 1 to 12, not 1 to 12 across the two
Yeah.
tiles holders.
Yeah.
So you've got a little bit more information in that way as well. You know, if I put my thing there, it might tell you that yes, that's a 7, but then also you know that everything past it is an 8 or something like that. You know, or you would indicate that everything past it's an 8. You know, so you're trying to, with that little information, give them more information where you can. You know, and I think that's great. You know, I'm looking forward to unlocking it because the rulebook's got all these bits of stick this here, stick something here, stick something here.
Yeah.
So it's got like a legacy aspect to it, and
I like that. I
really like
was...
the production of it as well, the design, the style of it, with these like bomb busting rabbits and the cartoony kind of. It's really nice. I like it. Yeah.
I got inklings of. Now bear with me on this, but there is a connection. There was inklings of mechs versus minions, because that game does exactly the same thing. It starts off with base kind of, this is how you move.
Right, yeah.
This is how you fight. And then as you play through the missions, it ramps up the missions that you're doing in order to increase the number of mechanics that you can basically do in a turn. But there's no stickies and there's no stickers in it, so it's not like, say, Charterstone, where you're sticking labels in the rule book to kind of increase it. But I must admit, I could see you just like basically it has to be a kind of the same two or three or four players, because otherwise you get into this horrific situation where who wants to play Bombbusters? Right, here we go, level 1 again. And I've seen people kind of play those games where they end up playing it 4 or 5 times at level 1.
The training ones are only needed for the very first time everybody plays it. If there's somebody at the table who's played it loads, they can explain all of the basics.
Yes.
And then you'd start from the missions.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know, I think you'd be all right. I don't think you need to do the training missions after that.
No, but like, definitely.
But with like me and Elliot, I would probably start at the training missions, even right from the start. Just go, right, boom, here we go. We're going to go on this journey together, you know, even though I know what the first 4 mean, you know. The annoying thing was, it was set when I first sort of got it out, and I was thinking, right, okay, yeah, let's play this. And I'd seen that that was the other thing. That was the other reason I also was happy to play it and break my rule, was because it basically went, oh look, you're gonna play a bunch of rounds and it's gonna teach you how to play it.
Yeah.
Could I fucking understand what to do on that first round at first? Not a clue. I think I was an element. I was tired or whatever, and I'm, you know, or there was, you know, kind of the idea of SETI was still firm in my mind of I don't know how to play this game.
SETI brain.
And I could not understand. I was thinking, this is supposed to be easy. This is supposed to be really, really teaching me and holding my hand. You know, but
it's like reading that one sentence and something and just reading it again and again and again and going, this doesn't make any sense.
And I was reading like the training card mission objective bit, and then I was looking at the rulebook bit, and I was thinking it felt like it was 2 people having a conversation, and I was the third person sat there. And each person had combined all of the information, but it felt like they were every now and then talking about something that they both felt I should understand, but didn't establish that neither of them had told the first bit of information each of them needed to. And I was like, should I be reading this card or should I be reading the rule book? You know, and I couldn't. I was just like sitting there like, let me just watch a video. Because I needed to. And the trouble is also,
you got a video?
Well, the trouble is also, I think you call it a kinesthetic learner. I learn by seeing and doing. I really struggle with rule books, and that's an awful hobby to get into.
Yeah,
I'm
the same.
But I really struggle. You know. I need to see the flow of it. I need to see somebody do it. Once I do it, I just go, got it, cool.
Yeah,
because too often in rule books. I mean, rule books, I would say, are the bane of this hobby in the best of times, because they're invariably average at best, I think, more often than not, you know. But so often when I'm reading a rule, and it's like, oh yeah, and you're gonna do this, but the trouble that I then struggle with is I don't know why I'm doing it, and it never explains why you're gonna do the thing. It never like the cause and the effect. Kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
no, yeah, exactly. It doesn't give you a reason. You're putting this here, and this is why. And and
I need that. I need that clarification to understand why I'm doing it.
I almost need like a flowchart,
Yeah,
to say.
I probably do to some, or like I said, I just need the cause and the effect. I can't you can't. My brain doesn't work with just the cause. No. I need the effect. When I teach a game, I teach with the cause and the effect. Or if it's like, you're in that bit and you're teaching it, because invariably when you're teaching a game, why do you ever get interrupted? It's never to clarify the rule. It's always to ask why.
Yes.
It's almost always to ask why. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never to understand what you just said. They just want to understand why you just said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And usually if I can, and if it makes sense to tell you, I will do it when I'm doing it, when I'm teaching it. But often I'll go, right, cool, and we'll get to why later, because it's part of a bigger thing. And I'll usually say, right, now, remember when we were saying this, when you put your workers here, you get da-da-da-da-da. This is that bit, and because usually there's more moving parts to it. This is why I will explain it later. But I would at least say, when you put your workers here, then you're going to come up to this bit, but I'll get to why we do that bit in a minute and what you get from that. So at least they see. They don't just go, oh yeah, okay, you can put your workers here. At least you need that clarification, and that's where I really struggle. I forget why we even got to that bit. Oh, I was looking at bomb busters. Yeah.
No. I mean, one of the best examples of kind of rule books that just worked for me, and I'm just trying to see if I can remember it off the top. Legends Untold, right?
Oh, I know the game. I haven't played it, but yeah.
It's Kevin Young. It was Kevin Young's baby, and he's done. He's continued to kind of release kind of sets and stuff like that.
He's loads of sets of it now, isn't there?
Yeah, but he did a flowchart. So it's a literal flowchart to say, right, okay, if you do this and you're doing this, and the reason you're doing this is so you can do this. And I thought, like, when I was thinking about that just now, and I thought SETI and a lot of these other games could really just do with something to say the reason you are placing this probe here is because down the line it'll allow you to scan, which means down the line it'll allow you to get this, which means it allows you to get this, and this. And these are the three aims that you want to get as a player in order to let you get points. And I always find that sometimes gets missed.
But I think that's why I don't tend to gravitate towards upper mid to heavy Euros, because it's so hard to do that. Because, like, what did you say when your mate was playing Inventions? Was it the Vlada Chvátil game? He was playing with Frank West. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
He was playing, and you said you hovered Andy. For a minute and you heard him explaining a bit, and it was just like it was this and this, and it was just even your description of the bit he was describing made me just go.
I was just over exaggerating. I was Andy Lewis from from Polyhedron Calendar, and I was absolutely over exaggerating.
I'm not criticising him. No, it's just an example of, in those games, there's so many knock-on things that you almost can't say the cause of this, the effect of this cause is blah. Because that's just a drop in the ocean. The effect of this cause is this, and then the 4 effects of that cause are this, and then the sub 4 effects of those causes are this.
I just listened to Andy explain it, and I was just like, I'm just like tapping out. I'm just like, no. I says, like, that's enough. I've not even playing this game. My brain's full. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go and kind of play.
Which is why I like a nice medium weight Euro, which is, it feels like it gets my brain working in just the right ways and stuff.
We ended up playing. I mean, I don't want to say game of the show, because there's a couple of, I don't like, and I think as I said in the when we were asking about like would you want to play, and I was like, it was more about kind of for me, because it had been so long since I've been to Airecon, it was going to be about the experiences and the people. But the experience, there's certain experiences in people that just made the whole thing kind of magical for me. I'm as I say, I met the kind of the guys from the Staying In podcast. You met them as well. You know, Paul was there. We obviously I kind of had a long overdue kind of face to face with Frank West. We sorted out our problems and now we're friends again.
He's got a better right hook than I expected. He really
I didn't see it coming. You know,
no,
the way
you didn't. That's why you ended up on your ass.
We trailed it was quite.
You know, he saw his opportunity and he took it.
He said like that, "Take that, you dirty dog." I couldn't believe it. But
Richard did not have a fight with Frank West. No,
I
just
did
to clarify.
In the car park. There's no.
Couldn't call that a fight. It was an arse kicking.
It was his arse getting kicked. Frank, come on, bring your dog next time. I've got you. The gang. Can we talk about the gang quickly? Because we got our first kind of exposure to the gang, and I must admit,
well, I didn't, but you did. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hello, sir. Oh, it was just mwah, chef's kiss, and I don't care if that was your dog doing it, because that would be. It was just so. I think you talk about. I mean, we talk about games above the table, but I think that's kind of like. People talk about the mind, but that's
the irony is there's not supposed to be any game above the table.
There isn't, but it's
supposed to be in silence. But I don't. Like I said, when I explained it to you and I went through the rules for it and said, this is how me and my friends play it. We're probably stretching the rules. We might even be breaking the rules.
I don't think you were, because I read them and it was fine.
Yeah, in fact, you went and then had a look, didn't you? And it didn't sound like maybe stretching at the absolute worst. You know, definitely not breaking them. And luckily, it doesn't sound like it entirely wants you to just sit in silence and just take a poker chip. You know, but yeah, it's such a great. And introduced it. I mean, we had a game night the other night after playing Worms, and then. My friend who owns Worms, he hadn't played the gang yet, and we played three rounds, I think. Yeah, because we lost 1-1, so we had to do best of 3, and all the way through from like the second round onwards, he was just going, "Oh, I like this.
Yeah,
this is good." You know, and you could just see getting that realization where he was just going, "Oh,
this is cheeky. This is cheeky. This is cheeky. I like this." It's the kind of
and that was very much kind of what you did. You were just like first one in, you know, a couple of rounds. You were just like, "Oh yeah, all right, yeah,
all right, yeah, I get this. This is kind of like this is the kind of the tasty above the table, because it was the fact you were able to looked at people in the eye and you just went, I'll put my finger on that chip, and I just went for it every time. I just went, I'm taking that one. There was no discussion. I was just like, I'm taking this chip. I'm taking this number 2 star chip. No, I'm taking the 4, and then I think we did okay. I mean, I think we did okay in terms of that. But it was
I'll tell you how we did.
Oh, here we go. This is where you tell us we lost 3 and 1-1 or something like that.
We won the first one we played.
Yeah.
We won the second one we played.
Yeah.
We lost the third one we played.
All right, okay.
So we were 66% win rate.
Well, I think as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You know what I mean? But that led me on to swinging from just above the table to definitely above the table. And this was kind of like, imagine being able to smack talk somebody that you'd only known for 5 minutes. And that was Ponzi scheme with pure old Saul. I have never, ever kind of like played a game where I felt, you know, it's like, no, you have to go for it. It doesn't matter if you know these people or not. You just have to literally kind of go for it. And it was such a fun experience. Kind of literally just like the cheek. It's the cheek of it. It's the cheek of it.
What I loved with that game of Ponzi scheme was the sort of really slow realization that Soul had, because for the first sort of 4, 5, 6 rounds, he was just like, but how am I going to pay them back? And I'm like, that's the point. So every time I was like, you probably won't at some point. And it's all a case of who could, not being the first person who can't pay them back. That's the point. We will all fail if we saw it through to fruition. This train can't stay on the tracks forever.
Exactly.
But it's a case of whose derails first. And it took him so long to truly grasp that.
That was amazing. Because you bought all this, like all of the shares, but then there was this just like one
so well because people weren't being aggressive enough with me. They were being too nice.
You just kind of played it before, but it was this whole point where Saul bought something off me. And so I know he had spent all his money.
Yeah.
And then immediately I bought it back from him. But at like $10 less.
Yeah, and I then also went and bought a cheap one off him because I was just like, well, I know you need some cash. Because you weren't hiding any bones about the fact that he'd spent out. And there was I can't remember if it was Greg or Sol, but one of them put an offer to me for one of my shares. I was like, yeah, absolutely. It was like over 20, and there was no reason for it to be over 20 because I offer like 7 or 8. Because 7 or 8 is if I buy it for 7 or 8, bargain. If I don't, hey, I've got nearly 20 back, kind of thing. It'll be somewhere in that 7 to 10 category of number, based on how much you've been spending or haven't been spending. So as to how much I'll offer, and then or also how much I need the money. So if I need the money, I will make an offer based on the fact that you'll go, I'm doubling that bastard. That's what I love about. That's one of the things I love about Ponzi scheme as well, is the fact that when a trade starts, the trade is happening whether you like it or not. It's just a case of which way it happens. So you offer. You don't offer. You tell somebody, I'm buying your red share for 20. Yeah. You receive said offer in the your clandestine trade. You receive it in your little pleather pouch. You assess the money in there, and you either put the same in amount again, hand it back to them, and take their red share. Yeah. Or you accept that money and give them the share they wanted, And I love the fact there's no turning around just going, no, I do not accept that offer. It's like you accept it or you double it, son.
Exactly. So that was no.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
the genius behind Ponzi scheme. That bit,
And I kind of really
shit paper money.
No,
I've raised it with Mark.
Well, I think, at the moment, let's not kick Mark anymore. Because he's already kind of like going, you're just basically saying to him,
well, I'm not going to punch him, am I? If I did punch him, I'd just punch him in his stomach. I can't reach his head. Yeah, I'd punch him in mid-thigh.
Every time I see Mark, and it's like, I knew you were tall, but I didn't realise you were that tall.
Well, that's also coming from you. You're 1.5 inches taller than I thought you were.
I got that. I don't know. I kind of got that all weekend. I don't know if it's because of where I was sitting.
You were about 5'9" at best.
No,
but you're like 6'1", aren't you? Because I'm 5'11", and you were 6 foot. So yeah, I knew you could tell. I could tell you were just a little bit taller than me, and I just assumed I was probably a little taller than you.
That was the funniest thing all weekend. Was like because I met the staying in guys. I met Dan and Chris and Sam and Pete for the first time, and I knew that Dan was quite tall. But then I met the rest of them, and they're all like, "Bloody hell, you're quite big." It's just like, what?
But the thing is, obviously, I have met you in person beforehand, but obviously it was quite a long time ago.
It was.
But also, I don't think I must have just not paid attention to you stood up very much.
I'm not very.
I must have only seen you particularly sat at the table.
I'm not really memorable. I think people kind of forget about.
Well, also there was a lot of people there in a confined space, so I just
there was an awful lot of people.
Probably never saw you stood up in a very I'm focused on you stood up kind of sense.
I've been working on my posture as well. I've been trying to do it instead of slouching, because somebody was like, you should be.
You're 6'1.5" when your posture's right. Yeah,
I know. And if I've got my big shoes, I think I had my big shoes on, and the big shoes.
I did even look to see if you had fucking, you had some platforms on.
Yeah, something like that. I was wearing stilts. We played. Did you play Strike?
Yeah. It's so much better than I ever expected. Now I can see why Rod did that bangs on about it, because it's so much fun.
Is it just not the best? There was just I think I had more moments with one game about chucking dice into a polyurethane tub.
Yeah.
Than any other game of that entire convention. In fact, I got messages from Sam to say, we're both buying this, by the way. And then he sent me a picture on WhatsApp to say, I've now bought 2 copies that have come from Germany. And it's it's obviously language, completely language
get it from?
independent. No, you
can't really get it in England, can you? Yeah.
No, you can get a Harry Potter one. It's it's got Harry Potter symbols on it and stuff like that. And it's like, we don't want no wizards. There's no wizards here. And it's strange. It's could you not just get a Tupperware bowl and just get a pile of kind of black dice and just play it from there?
Can't.
It wouldn't be the same.
It needs to have that. They got it just right. With that little bit of give, little bit of bounce in the bottom of it. And,
it's amazing. Yeah. It's just those moments where it was just I just rolled. That's how I roll.
Oh, I
just
did. I developed technique. I was far from just rolling. You can't just roll.
The funniest thing was Sam won 3 games in a row, which was hilarious, but he had this thing where he was literally, he was kind of throwing the dice like he was, when somebody uses an extendable rest on a cue, and they do this kind of almost they're kind of this kind of elbows up kind of thing. So his elbows up and he was chucking the dice. And I don't know if it was the aim or something, but he was just hitting them. So he won 3 games in a row, and that was him. He was absolutely loving it. But no, I mean, it's I'm not going to say game of the year, but I'm not far off of saying it was pretty. I mean, it was game of the year. Scrap everything else. No. But it was just I don't think nobody walked away, even if they lost playing that game and went, this is I didn't enjoy it, because how can you not enjoy just chucking dice? It's the ultimate kind of, have a go. The other one I played was Can't Stop. Can't Stop's still one of my favourites. I couldn't
It's
stop.
really fun. I don't like that production of it though.
I ended up basically dominating the game that I played because I rolled kind of 6, 7s and 8s in the first thing. So I was just
Did you like that foldy out thing? I didn't really like the look of it, and I hate it when something can't stay flat. And it couldn't stay flat.
This one we managed. It did okay. I don't know if it was the way it was done or something like that. It was a bit
turned up at the edges. Yeah. But as the first time I've ever got to play Can't Stop, and it is great fun.
Oh, it was just good.
You definitely showed the tactics for it.
I had the best time because I was like that. I was like Ian, I think, at that point. Ian from the Giant Brain.
It was ridiculous.
He was just cursing my very, very existence. Kind of why are you doing this? Why are you doing? I'm just rolling again. It got to the point where I was almost winning. Maybe 7, 8
in your first round?
Yeah. Pretty much. I should have just kept going, but Amy, I know. The rolling was good. One thing where the rolling wasn't good, right, is obviously the guys from Hachette were there, and on Sunday they had a special offer where they're basically, because they've been selling the games at their stands, so what they did is they had rolled out a D20, and they basically had stock, and they said, look, here's a D20, if you roll the D20, that's what you pay for the game.
Yeah.
So some guy had the last copy of Doggerland or something like that,
You
and he
get it for
rolled
£4.
something like that.
Yeah.
There was one guy that rolled a 1, and he got a game for like £1, right? So I'm seeing all this, and I rock up, and I look at a copy of like Slide and Yogi and Castle Combo, you know, and GM says, oh no, you can't have that. You don't get that on the dice because that's new stock. He says, but I'll tell you what, you can have one roll of the dice, right, on Slide, which is £14. And whatever you know, just because I'm feeling good, whatever you roll on it, that's what you'll pay, yeah? So I pick up the big inflatable dice. Guess what I rolled?
14.
20.
Did you overpay for a copy of Slide?
I did.
Gee.
I mean, there was people there, and there was children, so I wasn't gonna turn around and go, well, screw you, and take my game and just run. Exactly. Chuck it at his head and run, kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, so that was just absolutely ridiculous. But no, the Hachette had a huge stand. They were playing, like, there was Gwent that was there, and they had all their old normal kind of favourites. Castle Combo was there. They had Cyclades as well, but we're not going to talk about that.
And like Shackleton's base.
Yeah, so they had some of the bigger range as well as the smaller kind of range as well, which is kind of
also
good.
Flav showed me a really cool with for Netflix One Piece, like kind of like adventure-y puzzle game, kind of like an escape roomy game, but set around One Piece.
Yeah.
He kind of showed me through, like, that looks really good fun that's coming out. He's got some cool stuff coming.
Gwent's the big one though. We'll just need to see. Yeah, I think Gwent will do quite well because it's kind of crossing that kind of Venn.
Do you reckon it'll do that well,
games. I think there's been an active kind of player base for some time, and I think it's potentially one that's gonna kind of go a bit more, kind of maybe extend beyond the likes of your Waterstones and stuff like that where they normally distribute. Right. I think they might get it in a couple of places. I think you might see in it like I know WH Smith have now got they've got Toys R Us have come back into WH Smith now. So you might see, I've seen a couple of them still not got any kind of decent, decent kind of board games. What is this? Oh.
Strike ordered.
And for the purposes of the tape, Mr. Pryor has got a copy of Strike. Elliot's gonna love that.
Yeah, Eden as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, because that's it. It's like kind of age. It's gonna be fine. Played Wyrmspan, but
it was really good. I really like Wyrmspan. I think it's messier in some ways than Wingspan, but I think actually a more refined and better game than Wingspan. I think.
I thought it had a bigger mountain to climb. It's kind of what I think. I wrote some words about it after playing at the club and then kind of mucking about with it at home and playing at Airecon, and I just thought you were always doomed to be compared to kind of like Wingspan regardless, no matter what you did and what direction you took it in. People were either going to love it because you changed stuff or hate it because you changed stuff or didn't do it or didn't do enough saying and stuff like that. And it's got a nicer kind of idea of kind of like whimsy, but I kind of like the new mechanics of moving from left to right. I like the kind of the little clock guild kind of thing, kind of like extra bonuses. I still, for the life of me, and I put this in the words that I wrote, I still, for the life of me, don't understand in a world where one of the actions is entice a dragon to your cave, why you didn't have a once a game action where you could entice somebody else's dragon to your cave, basically. Pay kind of like extra, like a couple of extra resources. Like you have to double one of the resources or you get to double both of the resources, and you could like play your one action and you would entice somebody's dragon from their cave. And the other action that I thought was like basically a scare move or something, where once per game, again, if you played the right number of resources, or maybe sacrificed a number of eggs or something like that, or a tucked card or something, you'd be able to kind of I guess bring in Dragon's Rage or something, and you could pick a dragon and you would be able to scare that dragon off the mat altogether, kind of thing. There
is zero player interaction in that.
There is absolutely, and I just don't get it. I don't know if this is the same with Fin. I saw Finspan on the last day on the Sunday morning.
I saw a few people playing it. Yeah,
it looks quite interesting. It's kind of like a vertical setup as opposed to a horizontal setup. It kind of looks interesting. I'll be interested to see how it goes. I think there's the usual detractors, kind of going, well, this is a big waste of time, and it's like, yeah, but my view on it is like, there's 20 million different versions of Carcassonne and 20 million different versions of Ticket to Ride. I mean, and those bad boys still keep selling, so why shouldn't, Mr. Steckmeyer
Donald X. Vaccarino said, about 6 years ago, he wasn't going to make any more Dominion expansions. He made 3 after that. It's like, and it's like, fair play to you.
Exactly. You get the money.
I don't know why you felt you had to draw a line under it in the first place.
Exactly. It's like dancing on ice finishing. It's going to come back. It's the very last ever series
like
we'll ever
Floyd
do.
Mayweather retiring. It's like, yeah, all right. Every boxer that ever retires, it's like, you're 32, mate. You're not retired.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see you in 5 years when the money kind of runs out.
It's basically the way it stands at the moment is there's probably a span for most people. If you like the sort of bird stuff, there's Wingspan. If you like something a bit more fantastical, there's Wyrmspan. And if you happen to like a lot of fish, there's Finspan. Like, I
don't know what they're going to do next. If they're going to do Mammal Span, if they're going to do Handspan.
Mammal Span.
It depends if they need to come up with a kind of like a good Mammal Span. Sounds rude.
Branch span it with trees or something.
Look at the Mammal Span. Well, you could do trees as well. I mean, you could pretty much do, as long as the mechanics are sound. There's nothing wrong with you expanding it. And there is going to be some people that it's going to be like their FIFA, which is there's another Span game. Yeah, I'm just going to buy this one because it goes along my other collection of other games that I've got, and maybe like use some cross pollination and kind of do it.
But that website's really good. I really liked it. Like I say, it just feels a bit messier in front of you because like every card, most of your cards on your tableau have a card underneath them.
Yeah.
Whereas in obviously Wingspan, you might have 2 or 3 birds that you're caching cards under, but that's it. So it just everything kept feeling like it was sliding and moving and stuff like that, and that was making my liking to have things lined up bone twitch a bit, kind of thing.
It was like you need a neoprene mat for this, sir. I mean, that's what you needed, a nice little neoprene mat to kind of stop it from slipping. I don't
like the Wingspan art style with those dragons though. I think it's just a bit too wishy-washy for the dragons.
A bit watercolor.
It works on some of the dragons. You're like, oh yeah, that's cool. But then some of the other dragons, you're like, no, that's not a cool representation of that sort of dragon.
I think if they're going to go that route, there's probably an art card expansion, a fan art expansion that's going to be coming along with. It's got like people doing the kind of their own versions of the cards, which is fine. I've
never looked that close at the Wingspan art expansion. I saw a few that looked kind of different, but a lot of the ones I saw were not that different to Wingspan. So maybe there'll be something with Wyrmspan, but I wouldn't buy it even if it did, because
it's I think it's an appreciation.
That's literally just pissing money up the wall,
Well, I mean, it's an appreciation, isn't it, of like people have made the effort to actually go out, and it's obviously them trying to give something back, and it's a kind of, I guess, motivated them to put pen to paper or pixel to computer, or I think some people have done sculptures.
Prompt to AI.
Prompt, exactly. Bird down wind.
Sentence to Mid Journey. There you go.
Wow. So coming to
I
AI
bet there's a
span.
couple. I bet in that art
that's
pack,
down
I
to
bet there's a couple of AIs that snuck
Probably.
in there.
That's
There's got to
obviously.
be. There's got to be.
Maybe. We'll see. Where there is no AI, we also played... I mean, we got a bit worldly with buildings and stuff like that, because we played both World Wonders,
Yeah. Love that game.
which... Really, really nice. I like that. And Foundations of Rome, which, I'll be honest, is so big. It's so ridiculous. Do you know what I mean?
Which is...
It is literally, it is literally like ordering like a pint in the pub and then bringing you with like a flipping sparkler and a dancing troupe kind of coming along to turn it up and put
it's
it in
like
front of
ordering
you.
a pint in the pub and then you're sat down and next thing you know you're in a chicken wing eating contest. You know, it's just like it's just so much more than you expected. You know, kind of thing. But did you like Foundations of Rome? What did you think?
Oh yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, but I kept thinking this is the so totally this could have been an email of board games.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like I said,
Absolutely.
like I've always said, the most accessible game with the most inaccessible price.
Oh,
You
it's just
'cause
absolutely ridiculous.
it is a really simple game. You know, there's a lot
it's
of game
brilliant.
in there for gamers, but
Yes.
to just play it, three things you could do. That's it. You know,
and
buy
and
lots, put a building down, or get money. That's it. That's all you got to do. You know,
And it's more complicated than World Wonders.
But as to how efficiently you go about doing that is, you know, that's where the game is. But the fundamentals of what you do, so bloody simple. You know,
It's simpler than World Wonders.
yeah.
World Wonders. The World Wonders is
infinitely
just like
simpler.
tiles.
You know.
It's like so funny. And we played World Wonders, and I must admit, my brain was like, am I working? Am I working? Am I not working? I had a really fun time with Foundation of Rome because I really appreciated the kind of the sculpture and the fact you'd actually painted a couple of them as well.
There's only three that are test ones.
You just
but
like
I will-
humble bragging as well.
I
This
will
is just
paint-
a bit of.
I will paint
dry brushing.
all of it at some point when I can when I've got somewhere I can put it all out so it can all dry and I can airbrush it all in one go. So I can do it like literally just like a manufacturing process. It won't take that long, you know.
No.
But it will look
fantastic.
fucking amazing once it's done. It will look unbelievable.
You never want to kind of put it away. The only other games, because you went away, I think. Yeah, the only other games I kind of played. I played a bit of Wonder Bowling, which is Paul's
Oh,
little
was that
small...
good? Because I've nearly got that a bunch of times. Is that
was-
the one where you have to hit it
Yes.
harder? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So you just basically, you've got like set up, you get your 3 tiles or 4 tiles. I think beginning off with 4 tiles, you get a couple of numbers and you get 2 strikes. In order to get a strike, basically you lay kind of like these little miniature kind of bowling pins on the box itself. And then you take like a wooden beater and you hit the box as gently or as hard as you want, and you're either trying to leave the number of pins standing that you've got a number in front of you on a little token. You do that and you get like a point, you get a strike basically. Or you're trying to hit everything down except 1 pin. And that's what makes it genius.
Yeah.
Because there isn't just a case of you going, we're bad, you know, Captain Caveman in it, just smashing it. You've got to almost be gentle. You can see people like really concentrating and just try to hit it in the right kind of corner just to try and get the kind of things. And it was just, you know, Chris was really good at that. He just managed to kind of get his hitting rhythm down. And he won the game. But it was kind of good fun. The other one we played was Bonhanza
I didn't play
with all
that.
my different beans, which is basically so strange.
It's the only game that Uwe Rosenberg's designed that was any good.
It's very true. I mean,
But then he got a serious blow to the head, and you know.
yeah. But
I
it's-
love Bean
yeah.
Farmer Uwe. Bean Farmer Uwe is fabulous. Struggling to feed your family, Uwe. He's a dick. No, Bonanza's great. I haven't played Bonanza for years. I'd love to play Bonanza
it's so
again.
fun. It's just pick up a card, put it in the left-hand side of your deck, but you gotta,
It's the fact you have to keep your hand in the same order, don't you?
Yeah, you've got to keep your hand in exactly the same order. You've got to then... You then get 2 cards played, and then other people can then bid on kind of like the beans that you've got by giving you beans that allow you to plant beans. But then if you get beans, you've got to go and plant them and cash them in. And it's just ridiculous fun. There was about 5 of us playing it. It was so silly. But it was incredibly simple, and it was incredibly good. It was just good fun. And the kind of... It's definitely a kind of like... It is absolutely an above-the-table game. Because it was like, yeah, are you going to bet for this? And it's like, and it was literally, no, Dan. And it was like, Dan. And it was like, yeah, Alan Partridge. And I'll give you 3 coffee beans to take that green bean off you. And I'll give you 3, and he's like looking and going, oh, no. And then Sam pipes up and goes, no, I'll give you these 4 plus this as well if you get in it. And it was just that kind of bit of back and forth. So you had that moment of power where you're kind of like deciding, do I go for this one or do I go for that one? And of course you're bearing in mind that you don't necessarily want that person to win because you know they'll score some points, but at the same time you're going to make sure you're looking after yourself as well. So it's got this lovely kind of bit. It's like more, it needs kind of people who are there and trying to kind of manipulate the situation. It was really really good fun. Played Things and Rings as well.
Oh yeah, I saw you playing that. What was that? How does that work?
It was kind of like it's like basically like a Venn diagram kind of setup, and you basically had you had 2 cards. And one of them kind of described kind of like the physical aspect potentially of the word. And one of them described kind of like an association of it. So like they could say, right, okay, all the words have to end in a vowel. Or all the pictures have to have something that's got like a cylinder in it or something like that.
Right.
So you'd have like these 2 kind of Venn diagrams of like, this is what is. This is the kind of the attribute, and this is kind of like the structure of it. And then you've got the middle one where it kind of relies on both. And the idea is you've got like a hand of cards, and you're trying to guess what ring the card should go into. So you get these insane theories. Again, people going, well, that doesn't end in an E. That's a vowel. That's round. That's green. That's got a shape in it. My only difficulty is it kind of, you can't go into the game blind. You have to kind of almost give people an example of what they're looking at. Because I know in the first game we kind of we played it. I think we played it maybe about 4 or 5 times because it does go quite quickly. But we kind of I think I personally struggled because I wasn't sure what was potentially on the card. So I had no idea that it was going to be an actual word property. As in, your word must have 2 syllables. Where, as opposed to, and this one's made out of circles, or this one could be outside, or this one has electricity, or this one, could be found in a garden kind of thing. And because I wasn't 100% aware of that, I kind of like the first couple of rounds I kind of struggled. But once you got it, it obviously kind of makes, kind of good sense. As a game, I think it, once you know how to crack the code, I think you would probably get through it potentially an awful lot quicker, especially if you were playing it with the right kind of people. If you know the person that you're playing with, you're more likely to guess what they're trying to get at. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it would be it's probably pretty good for younger kids, because it definitely gets them to do the critical thinking. What does this look like? What is this like? What's this like in terms of words and sentence structure and stuff like that? So that's kind of cool. I thought it was good. I wouldn't necessarily rush to play it again. I kind of walked away like, I get it as a concept.
Yeah.
it didn't particularly blow my mind, though I could see, if you knew the other people you're playing with like really, really, really well, how you'd have a good kind of back and forward and stuff like that. It was almost like a kind of it's like if you play code names with somebody that you know, and they go like, Blancmange 5, and you go, oh yeah, instantly it's this, and this, and they're like, yes, absolutely.
Nobody has ever said Blancmange 5 in code names. Ever.
Guaranteed. At least one person has said Blancmange 5. And then we played Strike again, and then we finished off with 5 Towers, which I don't know if you've... No, 3 Towers. Was it 5 Towers?
5 Towers.
5 Towers, yeah.
I don't like 5 Towers.
I wasn't sure about 5 Towers.
Well, I played 5 Towers at one of the... I think it was the second Airecon Telford, and Mark Cook of Airecon fame, he's like some weird savant at the game, whereas I didn't know my arse from my elbow. I could not figure out when I should be doing that, should be doing this. I couldn't, just absolutely did not work with my mindset and brain, or however tired I probably was at that point of the convention. I
got confused with the rule about the 8 and the 9.
8 is it 8? You can
8 is you can put on anything. You can play an 8 on anything, and a 9 you can play anything on a 9.
Right.
So basically, idiot features here, right? Plays a card, and the second card he plays is an 8 on top of the tower. And then I didn't realise that obviously the only next card I could play was like an 8, was like a 7 or lower. And then the other thing that I then kind of misheard completely was you basically saying, you can swap out cards that you don't like and you lose points.
Yeah.
But the points are cumulative. So it kind of goes, you lose 1 point for the first card, but you lose 2 for the second and 3 for the third and 4 for the fifth and stuff like that, yeah? So I didn't... It was late. I think it was like about 11:30 at night. So it's like we've been playing games for nigh on kind of like, this is hour 13 going into hour 14, and I'm just like, my brain's not working.
Isn't there a thing where you're buying cards? You're bidding on cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was, if I remember rightly, that was the bit. I just felt like I was being kicked around like a wet sock in a changing room. I was just like, what? But I wanted those cards, and I have no idea how I could have got them. Kind of thing. It was just sort of like inadvertent bullying.
I think the fun was that I was like so congratulatory, because I kind of like, I ended up like finishing off about 2 or 3 towers, and I got my 0 pointer at the top, so I got the double the score. So I had 7 cards on one, 7 cards on the other. I had like the 2 0 towers, so I ended up with like 14 on them, so like 28, and then I had another 12 pieces on the other tower, so I had points of 40. And then they go, now discard, subtract the cards that you've like kind of discarded. And I was like, okay, well that's me lost 7 points. No, I lost 36. I ended up with 4.
Was that explained to you at the beginning?
I don't remember. I was just
so
like,
was,
I must have been quite. I was kind of like far away. Yeah, so that was fine. Was there any games for you that kind of stuck out? I mean, we've talked about obviously.
We haven't
Galactic.
talked about my game of the convention, but you didn't play my game of the convention, so that's why. Skyteam was 100% my game of the convention. I played it with Paul on the first night.
You did, yeah.
Immediately went and bought a copy in, I think, first thing in the morning, or it must have been first thing in the morning.
Games Lore or something. Paul at Games Lore.
Played it with Elliot since, because you'd recommended it to me before, saying, "Oh yeah, it's really good," and Elliot might like it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't. I'd never bothered buying it because it was 2-player before, and then I just hadn't had that kind of opportunity to pull the trigger on picking it up. You know, I kind of nearly picked up a secondhand copy a few times, but just hadn't got it in time or bothered pulling the trigger. And then I played it with Paul, and I was so blown away by how clever that game is. I think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and Elliot loves it equally as well. So we've got a scrap of paper in our copy of Skyteam that we're going to log our flights and successes and horrific crashes.
Oh, it's just no, it's I think, did it not win? I don't know, maybe wrong, Spiel or something like that. I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember if it did or not. I think it probably did. Yeah, it was. I know it was in the running, maybe. But it's brilliant. It just works so well. It's got this. I just love that moment where the thing that you've both got to do, or the two things that you've both got to contribute to, that isn't just your thing. And you've got that moment where you're like, you roll your dice in your thing, and you just look at your dice, and you're like, shit. Oh, shit.
He's not got any coffee.
Yeah, and you got So then you're looking at it going, right, okay, so I need to do those two things. So can I get coffee to try and adjust them? Blah, 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 you know, am I going to get, you know, or do I really also need to do those things or whatever? And then you also look at the thing and you go, right, do I now just draw a line in the sand and go, look, this is the shit show I've got to deal with. So now you've got to try and save our ass. So here's where the line in the sand is drawn, and I've drawn it whether you friggin' like it or not, you know, kind of thing. And you got to hope and pray that they can deal with it, you know. And I love that bit of it, you know. But then you get that bit where you're both in that situation where you're like, oh shit, you know, oh no, I need to see what they're gonna do. And then I should be able to sort it out. But then they're sitting there going, oh, I'll wait till I see what they do. And then they will sort it out, and neither of you do it. And you're just like, oh, no. You know, and it's just brilliant. You know, it's so good. It's so modular, and,
there's tons of expansions for it as well.
Well, there's one expansion for it, but yes, certainly within... Well, I suppose, yes, within the game itself, yes, which I did, buying it, I knew I was just like, it's going to take ages before I get to any of this content in this. But still, yeah, even within the base, I mean, within that base game, there's so much game in there. You know, it's just amazing. Absolutely tip my cap. I don't know who made it.
Oh, don't throw that at me. I have no idea.
I'm not sure. I have no idea who published it, but
I'm going to go and check.
To whoever did,
check.
I tip my cap to you.
Let's go and check right now on the Skyteam. No. Scorpion Mask. I should know that.
That's a company I don't really know well. I can't think what else they've done.
They've done Zombie Kids. And they did Zombie Teams
I've always heard
as well.
That's really good.
And they also did...
My mate Hewitt played Zombie Kids, I think, and he said that was really good fun.
I think they were also responsible for
Decrypto. Decrypto, that's right. They did Decrypto Turing Machine. I did know who they were. Yes. And I quite liked Turing Machine when I tried that. And Decrypto's a very, very clever game.
Stay Cool. I mean, I'm looking... I think, were they not maybe also involved in...
They didn't do Stay Cool. That's Brain something.
Is it? Oh.
The Flicking Penguins. They might have been a publisher. They might have been a distributor for it or something like that.
Right, okay. I think they were maybe involved in Slay the Spire.
Really?
I think they were maybe the guys that were behind.
Maybe.
Let me just see. I'm just going to check. I'm pretty sure that it was one of the... It was either Slay the Spire or Dead Cells. It might have actually been Dead Cells. But let me just double check.
What else? While you're thinking that, what else was my other games I played that I loved?
What is there? Dead Cells, Scorpion Mask.
Oh, you got to play Curse Court as well.
Oh, what? I can't believe I didn't put that on the list, because that was literally... That was it? That was you, me, and the Staying In peeps, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was such a good game. Every time I play that
I think we've pretty much covered most of the stuff I played, apart from a few other little ones. Tried Challengers, which was quite fun. Which is like I think we did win Spiel des Jahres. It's just like auto battler. If you've ever played the game Super Auto Pets,
right,
on Steam, which is a little free game, where you end up with a deck of these cards, and each round you get more cards that you can draft in and out, and then you basically just shuffle your deck and you run it, and each creature just keeps beating the next, and it's like tug of war with a flag, and you keep swapping as to who you're fighting and stuff like that. It's really good. It's good fun. I can see.
I'm pretty sure there was a little buzz about that, and then it kind of like went wee, and then
yeah,
fireworks.
Because it was Spiel des Jahres, and most people it was one of those Spiel des Jahres winners or nominators that everybody just went, what game?
Yeah.
Same with Camel Up. When Camel Up won, most people were like, I've never even heard of this bloody game. What game are you talking about? And Challenges, I think, was one of those ones as well.
Ah, right, okay.
Just completely unheard of. Nobody knew what it was, let alone had played it,
Yeah. Curse Court, I can't believe I forgot Curse Court. Amazing.
Did the Staying In guys like it?
Yes.
I can't remember if they did.
Yeah, no, they really liked it. It's another one of these games that's like really difficult to get hold of.
It was Chris,
like,
and who was the other one that played it? Chris and
I think Sam played it as well. So they played it and they really, really liked it. The only other game I played, which I think would have been seen as slightly as the darling of
I just played it for the first time tonight.
The kind of the show, which was Compile, which I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it, because I've heard people compare it to Air, Land and Sea. But I'm interested to see.
What's his chops? Matt
Michael
Lees did
Yang.
on Shut Up Your Arse or whatever. Shut Up and Sit Down.
Shut up your arse.
Yeah, Matt Lees, they compared it to Air, Land and Sea. I haven't played Air, Land and Sea, but I really enjoyed it. I literally just played it for the first time tonight with Elliot about an hour and a half ago. Well, no, not an hour and a half ago, because we started recording 2.5 hours ago. And I thought it was great. We really enjoyed it. We really liked the quality of it, the production of it. And, I kind of explained to Elliot the theme of it, kind of thing, because he doesn't know a lot about sort of cyberpunk netrunner-y kind of vibe. We like that, and it's simple but real tricksy, kind of thing. There was so many, we were doing something, and he's just like, "Oh right, okay, now I'm going to do that. So now you can't do that, and I'll shift that over there, and I'll flip that." And I'm like, "What?"
I played it with Ian, and it was like I played. I think I had the fire deck, which was just like burn cards, discard cards, and you get lots of things. I was just like that. I'm going to burn cards. I'm going to discard all your cards, and I had the spirit deck and the metal deck. So the metal deck's like, "Come at me, bro." The spirit deck is literally, I'm going to jump between different lanes and stuff like that. So it's very simple.
In our game, I had. Well, this is what Elliot picked, right? So first one he picked was darkness, then he picked death, and then he picked plague. And I was like, nice. Shit the bed, right? Okay, you're not mucking about.
Adolescent shit.
Yeah. So I picked fire.
Yeah.
Then, based on what he'd already picked, I was like, well, I better pick love, because this is just nasty at this moment. And then I picked speed. And speed was all about shifting across. Love was like, could do loads of cool stuff for you, but you would give something to your opponent, so they'd get to like draw cards and stuff like that.
Right, okay.
But what you did for yourself was really good, because you gave something to your opponent. And then fire, was a bit zappy and discarding stuff like that. Whereas like, one of the first, kind of like after, I don't know, 5th or 6th turn, and Elliot played his one on compile. On the column that had fire and plague, and I hadn't put anything in fire yet, and he played a card of plague that was just like this line: you can't play any cards in it.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
I had that,
and he was just like, "You got a lot of fire cards in your hand." I just turned my hand round, and 4 of my 5 cards were fire. I was just like, "You're a nasty little shit."
I can't do anything about it. I had that for Spirit. It allowed you to basically, you could play any of your basically of your factions in any kind of lane. And I also got played. Ian played that card as well. But one of the cards I had was basically flip one of your opponent's cards. So I flipped and I was like, right, I'm going to be playing this kind of left, right, and centre.
That was the trouble. All the cards I had that were attacking cards for him were fire, and I couldn't play anything in fire. So I was just like, you little sod, you know.
I might as well go home.
I really like it. And I've also, I was pretty sure I was going to really like it anyway. And I've pre-ordered everything for Compile 2 anyway as well.
Oh right, I'm gonna muck around with the base game because I think it might be something that Jake quite likes, because me and, as I say, the journey to Accent Gaming on Tuesday night is becoming a regular thing, and we're playing kind of Star Wars. We're actually playing more Star Wars Unlimited than kind of anything else, which is incredibly kind of good fun. There was a few kind of smaller people, well, not smaller wins. Everybody's got their stalls, so I just want to give I've not played an awful lot of these games. I've not had a chance because obviously it's only been a couple of weeks since we're back, and I'm kind of working my way through stuff. But and I kind of had this rule this year, which I wasn't going to go not sharking, but kind of going up to people and going, hey, that's a lovely game you've got there. How about if you give me a copy and I'll take 15 Instagram pictures for you.
I'll make a TikTok.
For you. So I picked up a game called Vita Luna, which is like a 2v2 kind of card game based around beautiful black and white kind of artwork. Crystal, it seems to just be a kind of like a fighting animals, woodland animals kind of taking on each other with various kind of spells and magic and stuff like that. I've not looked into it, so I have no idea how it's going to play, but it's kind of interesting. The guy that made it, I think his name's Steve, he's like basically paid to kind of print these copies of this game. So I'm interested to see. That's Vita Luna. So it looks lovely. I'm looking forward to get it to the table. I got one of the Monuments books, which was a kind of choose your own adventure.
That guy. He had some cool looking stuff. I was just surprised I didn't spend any money there.
I kind of, as I say, I was kind of like, I was looking and I kind of he went, oh, what do you think? I says, oh, well, I'll just take this. I'm just gonna I'll pick this up and last time I had one was, I think it was Lone Wolf, when they did a reissue of Lone Wolf, I think. And me and Jake kind of sat down, and it gave us an excuse to kind of read a book together and kind of do an adventure, which was pretty cool. The other one was, I think, Imposter Pigeon by, I think, Territory is the company. So I've looked at that game. It looks ridiculous. It's about trying to find a hidden imposter pigeon in a kind of a deck of other bird-like cards, and they've all got powers and stuff like that. It looks ridiculous. And then we've got Cosmic Conquest, which hey you font, I recognise you. But it seems like a space game. A space plays putting planets kind of around, so that seems kind of fine. The only one that I guess the one that I picked up, which was looking very exciting for me, was Ironwood by Mind Clash.
Yes.
Which
have you? Because we very briefly before Bombusters,
you were dead.
Toyed
with it.
I popped off and you said, right, we'll have it, and we were like, it's 2-player.
Yeah,
it can't be too bad. And you came back and you were just like, nope. No. This is the rule book.
This is it's 32 pages. I was just like, I'm not doing this. My brain was just like, do you know what it was? I think it was the Saturday. It was a Saturday, and I think I'd had my lunch, and I think I'd been slightly kind of glutenized.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt Chums. And
yeah, because you proved it later on in another way.
Don't want to talk about that.
crop dusting.
Which is such an amazing.
I got crop dusted a few times at the convention this year. Oh yeah, that's the trouble sitting on the end of a table. It's one of the best spots. Especially that SETI. We were sat there, and I was literally on the corner, and I was just like, every now and then I'd just be sat there, I was like, you dirty bastard, who's just crop dusted me? You know?
As they walk past.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Ironwood is just like, it just looks like, it kind of like reminds me of like Root. It just like looks like
it does have
Root.
a very rooty kind of vibe.
It's got a rooty
to it,
kind of vibe,
yeah.
kind of asymmetrical, but the one thing...
It's a slightly less cartoony Root. Yeah.
I think it's just because it's two factions. I think I'm going to be able to get in and understand it. If there's one thing I think Root is really fun. I think I've said this before, but Root's really funny is that like there's so many factions that I think it stays in a lot of people's shelves because sitting down and learning the game in itself is like literally a game. You know, almost got to have like a couple of dry runs before you kind of realise how how you're actually playing it. So I'm going to be jumping into that. But that's about it. I mean, that was about it. It was a glorious time. It was the absolute
It was fabulous.
best.
As Airecon always is.
Absolutely fabulous. I had such the best. I had an absolutely best time. Got to meet a lot of fantastic people. No drinks on the table people. There was people at Coxwell Gaming. There was it Chaosium? Were there. Paul at Games Lore. Just, I mean, I think Ravensburger were there with their stand, doing their Lorcana?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they were.
Did a bit of Lorcana there. There was, I mean, it was just fantastic.
I was glad I got to give Flav a bunch of big hugs.
Yeah.
I love Flav so
He's
much.
brilliant. He's such a good boy. I have, it was always, absolutely wonderful to see. It was really weird, as I say, met a whole load of people that I haven't actually met in person for the longest time, including your good self, and it was just kind of walked away tired, and we drove back, and it only took us like 4 and a bit hours, and of course we got stuck in traffic 20 miles away from our house, because that's how because that's how trying to travel around Edinburgh works. You know what I mean? Broken down car, no reason for everybody to be doing 15 miles an hour at all, but that's what happened, and we got there and we went, oh, for goodness sake, but it was amazing. So
I played D&D that night as well when I got back.
I can't believe it.
I was so tired. I was so tired.
Exhausted.
I don't think I was probably on the A game of role playing at that point, but I was just like, no, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to change it. I don't want to. Don't want to be that guy. I'll stick to it.
Yeah, you were like an NPC.
But it got to we usually start I think at 7:30.
Wow.
And we kind of played through. We're kind of sort of setting up this bit, and we're going on another heist, and we were kind of establishing our plan, and we were trying to figure out these bits and how we could go about doing it, and then we kind of nailed down our plan, and then we're going to go to this place and do this heist, and I sort of went, could we call it there? This feels like a good point to go, come, we made the plan and now we'll execute the plan, but can we execute the plan next time? Because I can't and that was a good like two and a bit hours in, so that was fine,
Good stuff. Yeah, so that's Airecon. Next one's Telford.
Yeah.
Discussions.
Yeah.
Discussions are happening. If you have listened along tonight, and if you played any of the games that we've played, if you were at Airecon yourselves and you want to say hello, then I met Paul Plumridge. He came along and said hello. So it was nice to see Paul. He supports the show, and as always.
Oh, I know who you mean. Yes, I know who you mean. Yep.
He's a good boy. He's a good lad. So it was good to see. It was just good to see kind of bump into
so many
people that
the T-shirt. Winner was the T-shirt. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah.
Yes. The lovely Paul. And next time I played Distilled. We're going to talk about that next time.
Yeah, I've played loads of games since Airecon, so I'll talk about them next time.
We're going to talk about them as well because it is getting late, and we're old, but obviously not that tired because we can stay up.
Work.
Oh, okay, right. Well, in that case, thanks for listening along. My name's Richard.
My name's Luke.
Because we didn't do an intro.
No, we never did.
No, we never did. But
rewind back now and start again.
We'll do that. Let's start again. Remember, if you like what you've listened to tonight, do a couple things. Go to we'renotwizards.co.uk and tell everybody about it. We're on all the various, kind of on the social media channels at the moment, but not really kind of on the social media channels at the moment. If you're part of our Facebook, then come and talk to us on the Facebook. If you're not part of the Facebook, then go to we'renotwizards.co.uk. Go to facebook.com/we'renotwizards and you'll find us there. And it's time to say goodbye. So remember, stay safe, roll 6s, make something awful, and
stay spicy.
It's a goodbye from me.
Bye-bye from me.
And until the next time,
wizard is never
goodbye.
Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.